Hello everybody! Welcome back to another video of my first year on T. If you don't recognize me, I'm Ollie. I made a 6-month on T slash reintroduction video last week, so if you want to go check that out, I'll put a link in the bio. This week we're talking about online trans spaces and their pros and cons. And I have a lot to say on the subject. I have actually had the stomach flu all weekend, so I wasn't sure if I was going to make a video, but I find this topic so important that I really wanted to go out of my way and put some effort into this. So I am making a video. Also, I recognize that potentially this topic is a little bit more controversial than videos and content that I've made in the past, and I have some pretty strong opinions on this, so there's a good chance that I'm going to close comments. But if you want to engage with me on this topic, I'm very happy to. Please just do it privately via my Instagram or Twitter DMs, and my social media will be in the description. So yeah, online spaces for trans people. Are they helpful? Are they harmful? I will start with the positives. I think online spaces for trans people are really great. I know I can speak from my own experience in saying that when I wanted to get top surgery, it was very hard for me to find information, except through like online, mostly Facebook groups with people that have already had top surgery. So I would definitely say that like trans people being able to build coalition with each other online is like the coolest thing in the world. And like I have a few like online trans friends, and that's like really powerful and special to me, and being able to see their journeys is like very heartwarming. I think that online spaces for trans folks are really great forms of knowledge sharing avenues. Because we're trans and because we're this marginalized group, because of our transness, it can be very difficult for us to get information to each other, mostly because like our doctors don't know things about us. Like I went to the doctor for my stomach flu over the weekend, and it's like pretty much every time I go to the doctor, people say weird things about me being on T, about me having top surgery, that kind of thing. So because we have these experiences that are different, it's good for us to be able to build community with each other, and online is really good for that because there are pretty few of us, especially for people that like live in rural towns or are like the only trans person they know, etc., something like that. But I also think online spaces lately have been really harmful, especially to non-binary folks and to trans feminine folks. I think, well, I guess I'll be more explicit in what I'm talking about because I don't want to be misread. So lately, a lot of especially white, especially trans men, and especially younger folks on YouTube and other social media platforms have been adopting this identity of transmedicalist or transmedicalism, sometimes called truscum. And this identity and this ideology I view as being very harmful, especially to our community that is small and is like incredibly discriminated against. So I think that we need to build community from within ourselves, and having this internal division is really dangerous. Especially transmedicalism, their basic ideology is that you need dysphoria to be transgender, which has kind of online turned into this way of like this shaming of people who don't have dysphoria or who display their transness in maybe some non-normative ways. I personally disagree with this ideology because I know that I cannot understand the full trans experience. Just because I have dysphoria and because like I wanted to change things about my body to feel better about them doesn't mean that I think all people need to feel that way to be trans. And I would feel incredibly uncomfortable telling someone that they couldn't identify as trans because identity is personal. and I would never be able to understand why someone came to their identity as not being like if I weren't them. So that's where I like fundamentally disagree with trans medicalists, because I think that transness is a personal experience that cannot be quantified by terms, especially terms made by cis people, which dysphoria was. I've talked about this kind of a little bit on Instagram, but also maybe a little bit on this channel. Right now, I'm doing research on transmasculine identity and like trans masculine history, and part of that history has been like looking at where this rhetoric came from. And dysphoria is a concept that was created by cis people to pathologize transness and to medicalize transness. And I don't necessarily think it is a concept that is helpful to our communities. So yeah, I've kind of ranted a lot about that, and I don't want that to come off as saying I think all trans meds are bad, because I don't think that's true. I don't agree with trans medicalist ideology at all. I think that it's harmful to our community. I think that it has turned into like a witch hunt of people, and we've seen it turn. We've seen like some really violent outcomes of it that I think are really terrible. But I also understand that people conceptualize identity based on their own experiences. So what I'm calling for, basically what I'm saying, is that like people, it's important to have compassion for the way that other people live their lives, and understand that like your experience with one identity isn't universal. So yeah, and I think that maybe online spaces could be a good way to fix this issue in our community, where it's really been torn apart by this. Like we've seen, like I really have seen, like especially social media communities torn apart by this issue in ways that are horrible and like should not be happening. So I really think that people just need to be able to listen and to be able to think about other people's experiences, and maybe online can help with that. Yeah, I have like a lot of thoughts on this and not really a succinct way of talking about them, and the stomach flu is like messing with my body and mind. So I'm sorry if this video was not as coherent as I wanted it to be. Again, I'm really happy to talk about this, but might close comments. So please reach out to me on my social media. I'd be happy to talk to you. And I hope that you have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much for watching my first year on Tea.